This episode is made possible by New Masters Academy, the world's absolute #1 online art school in the entire planet. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thank you, New Masters Academy. I am deep in the annals of your mind. I am deep in the annals of your... Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about American politics, where no one does anything and the people suffer.
But before we get into it, make sure to like, touch, jingle all our bells and buttons. It really helps us out.
Find where you can see that little hand, press that little hand, and make it stand up with the thumb.
It's always standing.
It's always standing. Yes, it is. We hope you enjoyed our music that came out on Friday. Mm-hmm. If you haven't listened to our new song, I Am Leaving, you can find it in our music channel, yes, and also our Spotify channel.
Yes.
We hope you like it. Today, we are going to basically do a part 2 of American politics. Hey, what happened to that red wave, man? What do you think happened to that red wave, man?
It is a red trickle.
Ew.
I don't like that phrase. Ew. It sounds bad. But I want to take this moment to gloat and say I was right.
No, Janet was right.
I am... unfortunately very oftentimes right about things like this.
What were you right about, Janet, to recap?
So last time I said that I don't think there's going to be much of a red wave. I think that's putting too much expectations on people. Yes, just people. Just all humanity. And I was right, because it's, I mean, to be fair, I think the Republicans did decently well, but they were expected to, and actually expected to do a lot better. Everyone was surprised.
They expected to do more.
Yes.
They almost went slightly above the bare minimum.
Yes.
Which is taking the House, which is kind of, right?
Yes.
Which is not really something you really need to celebrate, because you are supposed to after every midterm. Yeah. Right. But if you didn't do that, that's not good. Yeah,
that's people really don't like you. That's exactly what I said last time, and that is exactly what happened. I was right.
I was wrong. I said that people were really, really mad, and they're going to take it out on the people. And they sort of did. But not nearly as much as everyone expected. I certainly did, I guess, buy into the hype of this red wave stuff.
I'm starting to think this is just propaganda.
Yes. I told you, now that the election's over, and then I could, just see things a little bit clearer. I felt like all that hype about the red wave was sort of like the hype around Black Adam. It was sort of like, let's rally everybody and let's push something that isn't
real. Yes.
Like Black Adam being a great movie.
Yes.
Like Black Adam being the movie that revitalizes the franchise of Justice League, basically.
So after the results so far, it's not 100% so far. We're recording this the Thursday after the election,
so the 3 days after the election, basically.
Yeah, so we don't know, for example, Arizona, and
we won't know for a long time.
Yeah. So for the most part, we assume it's not super great for the Republicans. They just kind of won. They kind of did something. I want you, even though we were supposed to talk about this later, but what was the attitude right before this election? Everyone. So the Democrats were telling everyone that there's going to be a red mirage, which actually happened exactly like they said it would.
I don't know. To me, the way I saw it, the Democrats were being really quiet. That's it.
Yeah, but at the same time, they were trying to tame expectations of
see.
like, well, it's gonna be bad. They're probably gonna take the House and whatever, but that's normal. And like for the most part, they were just trying to be like there is no election happening. And then the other side. It was very, they were drumming up all the hype. Oh, red wave, everyone needs to go out and vote. It's so exciting. We're going to cream them. But then that morning was really, that whole day was fascinating because in the morning...
You were glued to the election a lot more than I was because I had a lot of shit to do that day. But you were really like looking at Twitter as usual, right? And you were...
Well, it's the first time I was actually paying attention to a midterm election in a way where I can kind of comprehend what's going on because we've been educating ourselves and like learning about how American politics kind of works. And for the past, I don't know, since 2016-ish, a little before 2016, when we were seriously like just trying to figure things out as an adult.
Yeah.
But like you were kind of paying attention to all that stuff, and I really wasn't. For me, this was the first time I was like, okay, I understand a few things. I don't understand a lot, but I understand a few things about how this all works. So what's more fascinating, which is why I don't like, I wasn't glued to the news. I don't like analyzing the news. The news is the news. I like analyzing people's behavior around the election. I like to see how people behave, petty or not, and what... It's the best time to see the grifters, too.
Yeah, it's the best time to see like people's real intentions and stuff.
Yeah, and depending on how they react to certain news and stuff like that. So, at the beginning of the day, I saw all of rightoid Twitter gloating.
All morning.
And it hasn't even really started. Like, nothing had come in yet. No results have come in.
What were they gloating about exactly?
They were gloating about how they're going to cream them. The like red tsunami is coming. So I dislike the Daily Wire because a lot of the times their tweets and their messaging is in poor taste.
Explain.
So I saw this one meme that they tweeted. It was like a map of the United States, and there's the classic SJW crying on the floor meme. To the sky after...
Like a lady with the beanie and the green, well, neon green.
Yeah, I think it was taken after Hillary lost to Trump.
Yes. She was like, no!
Yeah.
And then she apologized. I'm so sorry for my country!
She falls to her knees.
The left uses that meme now, too, which is sort of like
weird.
When I used to like throw chicken nuggets at the pigeons in LA. Oh my god.
So it's the map of the United States, and then it's like no color or something like that, and then it slowly turns red, and then the head of that person just pops up on every single state across the United States. So they posted something like that.
They probably made that meme like a couple days before too.
Yeah, and then the caption was something like that, like the leftist later tonight or something like that. And I was like, you don't know that. Why are you posting this? And like, don't do this. And also, it's just in poor taste. Like, what is this? So
I think it would be less poor taste if you did it after.
I guess. I think it's still in poor taste, but if
less
you
so.
Won, then I guess.
Yeah.
You're excited. You want to like gloat and stuff.
Fine,
yeah. But to do it like first thing in the morning, I was like,
all right, you better be fucking right, because if you're wrong, you are gonna get filleted tonight.
And then, so like a lot of that was happening. I'm just calling them out, but like a lot of different people were doing stuff like that in the morning, and I was just like, this is why don't ever want to be considered a conservative, and I don't like you guys because you guys suck and you guys are lame. And so,
why are they lame? Be more precise.
Honestly, because you're just as bad as the other side.
A different shade of the different side of the same coin.
I can see that, like, the really annoying Hollywood people who do the same thing for their team. I really think it's lame and stupid too. I just like, you guys are like, oh, you guys are just so lame. I don't know how to describe it. I just like, I find that behavior really gross and juvenile and clear that you don't actually care about people and their issues.
It's
just
the sport.
It's just some kind of team sport thing, and it's I don't like when people relish in other people's misfortune, especially.
You're okay with it with the animation industry, though.
Do I relish in their misfortune?
Kinda. You said so many times, like, I enjoy watching your pain.
I'm not necessarily saying that to animation people. I'm saying it to the people who I know who are obsessed with us, who really dislike me. Because they go out of their way to dislike every video, to try to ruin my life for whatever reason. And I'm like, I don't even have to do anything, and your life just sucks. Like, and if anything, I should just pity you. But it's just hilarious to me. But I enjoy laughing at people who dislike me and for whatever reason want to cause me harm. I don't like relishing in, like, there are a lot of good people in animation who are just trying to do their job, you know?
Just trying to get by.
Yes. But I don't like it when people don't have empathy for the other side, who can't say that, what I just said. There are some people that pretend like they have empathy for the other side, but then when they post memes like that, I go like, no, you don't. Like, when the mask drops and you truly just want your team to win, and not because for the betterment of humanity maybe, or for all of us to have a better life. No, you don't actually care about that. You care about winning and only winning.
I want to win.
So I just think those people are lame. So what's fascinating is that was happening in the morning, and then as things started looking more and more grim for them by the end of the night, they started having similar meltdowns, like the lady falling to her knees, screaming no.
Just going like, I feel defeated, I just don't understand what's going on.
Yes.
Just like a lot of like crises happening all at once. A lot of people who were rah just like bitch slapped with reality.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, and visibly for all of us to see.
Yes. And that's what I mean by, like, you can see the grifters grift, because the people who are really quick to go from like, ha, red tsunami, to like, well,
it's quality candidates. Yeah. It's quality candidates. That's the problem here. Quality candidates.
And starting to point fingers and to, like, I kind of expect someone who's like, at the very least, who's very rah for their team, to take like a day or a night to like compose themselves. And then be like, okay, so we lost and all that stuff. But then to immediately, like, within a few hours to switch from going like rah to like
I know a lot of wise people on the Twitters who have like a 24-hour to 48-hour rule, you know.
Yes.
And I think that's very smart, you know.
Yes.
You don't go in, like, right in the morning of the election going, fuck you, we're gonna fuck you up. And then you have egg on your face going, boo-hoo. Why? Woe is me. Why aren't things the way they're supposed to be?
Or being like, I totally knew this was going to happen. I'm like,
no, you don't. You were quiet this whole time. Don't try to pretend like we didn't see how quiet the left was for the past 3 months, you know?
Yeah.
They truly were like, what election? Election? What election?
So that is my There are like very few people that I relate to these days when it comes to politics, and I feel like have like the right take most of the time. But I was like one of the few who was like, I expected all of this, and just seeing this behavior, I was like just shaking my head.
Oh, you told me something this morning that Scott said was really like on the money, you thought.
Scott Adams tweeted something like, if you made your predictions about the election based on something like logic, fact, reason, like he listed a bunch of things, then you were probably surprised. But if you based your predictions on persuasion, then you really weren't. And then
how well did the Republicans persuade and encourage people?
Not very well.
Not very well, it seems.
Yeah.
And I think we could all agree on that.
But they don't know that. They're not very self-aware. No
it's
one
about quality candidates.
Yes, no one in politics is very self-aware, it seems. So when all the dust cleared, everyone was trying to explain why what just happened, and there are a few theories. One that's common right now is that the Democrats vote as a team and the Republicans don't, meaning the assumption is people who are consider themselves Democrats, they go to vote and they have like the paper or whatever with all the candidates, and they will just check off D.
As long as it has a D.
As long as it has a D next to the name, they will check it off. They don't care. They don't know. They're just voting for their team. Whereas people are saying Republicans don't do that. They actually care and want to know who the candidate is, what they represent, what they stand for, before they're willing to vote for you. So you have to really win them over. And also, the term quality candidates has been thrown around, where people are trying to make sense of like, well, a lot of Trump's picks were not quality candidates. Their definition of quality candidates, they haven't defined it. Honestly, like I'm not entirely sure what they mean by quality candidate. They're just trying to blame Trump for saying that his picks didn't win. Meanwhile, people like DeSantis did. And they look at DeSantis and they consider him a quality candidate, and some not quality candidate is someone like Dr. Oz, according to them, because Dr. Oz lost to Fetterman, and
that was one of the biggest shockers of the night, I think.
If you are not aware of who these two people are,
gracious.
Dr. Oz is a TV doctor, and Fetterman is a Democratic candidate who recently
had a stroke.
So he's been flubbing a lot in media because he can barely speak. I'm not making fun of a stroke victim here.
No, you're stating facts.
Yes.
This is how it is, man. This is real life we're talking about.
And when I saw that, as someone who does not care about either side and dislikes both sides, I just laughed really hard.
Why are you laughing? What are you laughing at?
Because, so first of all, again, with like Republicans have very they have no self-awareness and they have bad taste, or they don't have, what's it called? Not bad taste, but they don't act. They have poor taste. They act in poor taste. There you go. They're mostly memes, like really kind of offensive memes about how this is your governor now.
It's basically the mutant guy from Goonies.
Yes. And then I looked at that and I was like, what's funnier? The fact that everyone voted for him, or the fact that you lost to him? And I was like, it's funnier that Dr. Oz lost to some guy who can barely speak and who has brain damage. I was like, that's amazing. That's amazing. You have so little self-awareness that like you don't realize that people would rather vote for that guy than you.
Than Dr. Oz.
Than you, yeah. Just like, this is because I dislike hoity-toity people who like to gloat and to think they're better than everyone. this seems like Hollywood and politics are full of people like that. I was like, you guys got what you deserve, man.
Mm-hmm.
Now all you can do is post memes like that, but like you lost and you're gonna have to deal with that. So yeah, those are the theories. I don't agree with them. I don't agree with them at all, specifically because of, for one, the quality candidates thing, I don't believe, because technically, wasn't DeSantis also, what's it called, chosen by Trump? Endorsed, there you go. So, I don't know. Also, even they have not yet to define what that means, so I don't really agree. And then the whole Dems vote for their team and Republicans don't. I think it's foolish to think you're any different from them, the other side.
Oh,
you're all the same.
What do you mean? You just explained right now that the theory is Republicans think, or the assumption is that they think harder about their candidates than the Democrats.
Well, I'm saying they don't.
They don't. Yeah, you're saying they don't.
Yeah. No, I think Dems vote for Dems and Republicans vote for Republicans. I think it's always been that way, and it's foolish. It's really not self-aware, and you think too highly of yourself to think that your people think harder than the other side.
Damn. That's true.
No, I don't believe that. I think so what I think boils down to two interesting data points that I've seen recently. The first one is I saw a graph of the population makeup of the United States in terms of age. So a few years ago, probably when we were younger, when we were like in our 20s, we millennials are like at the beginning, and there's like a certain few million of us or whatever, and then I think the tallest was like Gen X, and then the one after that, slightly less, was boomers, and then like it goes down from there. So it was like this pyramid with Gen X at the top, and it just naturally goes that way. Typically the 30 to 40 age demographic is like the biggest demographic in our country. So now that we've gotten older, the graph shifted over. There's Gen Z is at like the front, and they're like at a certain level. We are all the way at the top, us millennials, 30 to 40, like by a long shot compared to every other. So millennials make up the bulk of the United States population right now, and then next is Gen X, and then boomers are starting to peter out
for obvious reasons,
getting old, right, and then like the like 80 to 90s, they're like
very small.
Yeah. So that's the first graph. I saw this like a few months ago, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. We're finally there, you guys. Us millennials, where we are
turning red very slowly.
We are the bulk of the population now. We were the kids. Now we are the
normal people.
Yeah, we are adults.
We are being courted by politicians,
yes,
corporations. They want our money. They want our family's money, our little budding family's money.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
People still have this hard time realizing that like millennials are old. We're basically like the young to middle-aged parents at this point.
Janet and I are the youngest.
We're technically the youngest.
Yeah.
So a lot of us have kids. A lot of us have jobs. A lot of us have careers. A lot of us are starting to buy homes. Like. People treat us as if we're still 20, but we're not. So that was really fascinating to me. The second one is I saw the graph right after the election ended. Someone basically said that, well, there was the first few statistics of I think the older age demographic and how they voted, mostly Republican. Boomers, Gen X, typically Republican. And then it starts turning Democrat starting at the millennials. So millennials were +2 Democrat, and then Gen Z was +28 Democrat. So I saw a lot of people on both sides chalking up this election that Gen Z saved the Democrats.
You think that's true?
No.
You think Gen Z went out and voted?
No. I don't...
Because when we were their age, we did vote.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like people were saying that, and I was like,
bullshit. No way.
I don't think you know how this
Kids
works.
work.
Yeah.
No.
I think the reason why it's so plus 28 Democrat is because so few of them actually went to vote, but the majority of them will vote Democrat default. Because like if you, I am recently 30. I can remember full well the enthusiasm. Like, people will say they voted, but they didn't. Like, people will have so many opinions and then like not vote. Yeah, it's young people just don't. So I was like, no, I don't think enough Gen Z actually went out to vote. And they consider Gen Z 18 to 30 and millennials 30 to 40. But I thought what I saw when I looked at that statistic was, no, millennials helped the Democrats win because it lines up exactly with the way a lot of the races turned out, which they're very close. They're super
because
close.
Millennials are plus two.
Yes.
Interesting.
And what that says to me is like millennials used to be very, very just like Gen Z.
We were the Gen Z.
Yeah, we would
big plus 28, barely voted,
Democrat,
but if we did,
exactly,
default
yeah.
Democrat.
But we're aging and we're starting to have a more diverse opinion. Like as you age, you just naturally turn red. You turn Republican or whatever. It could just be a natural point of age, but like I also think probably the landscape of inflation, the economy, trying to buy a house, trying to raise a family, trying to have a career, all that stuff is on a lot of people's minds, and I'm sure a lot of people, millennials, have turned to go to the other side, begrudgingly though. Because I believe being a millennial and having like a lot of millennial friends, we are default Democrat still. We're not at an age where most of us are turning over yet. And for whatever reason, a lot of us grew up thinking Republicans are evil. And they're racist and they're all these things. That hasn't really changed. You kind of have to convince these default Democrat millennials who don't know anything about anything that either they're not or their situation is bad enough where they will overlook the fact that they think you're evil and vote for you.
In hopes that you'll fix something.
Yes. I think that's where the problem lies here. That like this assumption that, oh, well, we need quality candidates and Republicans actually care about the quality of candidate and they won't just vote as a block, like as a team thing. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Republicans are dying because they're old, okay? And as most elections and races go, your main priority should be to convince the independents, the people who might go either way. And right now, the biggest group of them are millennials who hate you.
Did you have high expectations for the recent election, and have your expectations been turned completely upside down? And are you questioning your life and the way you view the world? If you're feeling that way, let me tell you something. The world is doing great. You know how I know that? Because I drink coffee brand coffee. Coffee brand coffee gives me great positive vibes to take on the day, do great work, so my employers will be super, super, super happy with my productivity. Yes.
If you want 5% off your entire order, enter code honeyandabsinthe at checkout at the link down below.
Enjoy your enema, people pleasers.
The Republicans have a real image problem with the millennials. if you realize that you need the millennial vote in order to win, you have a really big uphill battle to climb, because we tend to be default Democrats, and we think you're evil. And so like what I kind of sort of explained this last episode, but I'm not sure people understand this, because I don't really have a coherent, concise way of explaining this. But
slowly, very slowly.
Woke is done. It's not popular anymore. Okay? So like people 40 and under, it's not.
Would you explain why you think millennials are +2 and not higher?
Millennials are +2. Higher, you mean like more?
Like, why don't they support Democrats more? I think like.
Oh, I think millennials are starting to wake up to the fact that both sides kind of use them and manipulate them. As you age, you start to realize no one has your best interest in mind. And
they just want your vote.
Yes, or whatever. Or you become more mistrusting of people.
Right.
The people who you used to be like a diehard fan of, let's say, like of celebrities and stuff like that. You see them fail. You see them not be cool anymore, and then you're not. It's easier to be obsessive about a person or a team when you're younger. But as you age, you start caring less, I think, and you just start understanding the ways of the world a little bit more. But what I was trying to say is that like woke isn't cool anymore, but it's not like being conservative is either. It's the performativeness of being woke that isn't cool anymore. Being woke is still technically cool because it symbolizes you're a good person. It symbolizes that you're an empathetic person. It still gives you social points to be on that team, but it doesn't give you social points to be performative about it. So last time our example was like, we don't think you can get a giant sponsorship deal, brand deal, by taking a knee when you're a football player or something. So, but like, it's not like being all about like, I don't know, being pro-life and being, what's the word? Conservative. Waiting till marriage or gays can't marry, like that stuff. Like, it's not cool to like be for that stuff either. And I don't think it ever will be for millennials. So what I'm noticing is that I saw this other chart too. The main reasons why people went to vote. Number 1 was inflation. Number 2 was actually abortion. Number 3 was something, and then I think number 4 was crime. And then they had the percentages, and like the 3 and 4 crime was like maybe in 10-ish%, so not very high actually. People they cared about crime, but they didn't care about it that much. I think it was 30-something% went to vote because of inflation, and then about 20-something% went to vote because of abortion. So that again lines up very accurately to the way the election panned out. One side is really scared you're going to take away their rights, their right to choice, and the other side just wants the economy to be better. So like it's clear what the two sides care about and what one side thinks of the other. The Republicans think you're dumb if you are a Democrat. They think, why would you want this inflation, all this bad stuff to keep happening?
You're clearly okay with crime and all this stuff.
And Democrats think
you are trying to take away my rights.
You're evil,
you're
you're
racist,
fascist. Yeah.
Right.
Which both sides aren't necessarily wrong. They're just a little extreme about it. So we were watching some of people's live streams, election night live streams, and the most interesting conversation that we witnessed was about how recently red-pilled people or just straight up like conservative or Republicans don't quite understand or can empathize the who and what the other side are.
And why they do what they do. Like, for example, vote.
Yes. Who they are, what they care about. It's just, I'm starting to realize the problem in politics, the problem in the quote-unquote culture war, is that no one's having the same conversation. No one understands the other side. They have like this, like one side saying something and they genuinely mean it, but the other side takes it completely wrong and they're having two different arguments. So this was on Tim Pool's live stream. They were trying to make sense a little bit of the results, or why Democrats are the way they are. Why are they so dumb, essentially? They didn't want to say it, but like, they were like, why are they so dumb? Why do they vote this way? Do they not care? Do they not understand? So like, what were some of the things they were throwing out of why
they were throwing out that like, oh, it's because they don't have the Jesus. One of the guests said that it's because there's no, I don't know, moral, a lot of the Jordan Peterson stuff, a lot of moral constructs and hierarchy and all that stuff, all the stuff that like recently red-pilled people talk about, and which is like, that was like us 6 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so whenever I hear, like, I get annoyed when I hear opinions like these, because it's like, yes. Like we can all agree that they suck and all this stuff. But then, like, they went like, it's because they don't have the Jesus and they don't. And then we just kept going like, no, that's not it.
No.
That's not it at all.
And for once, I was, like, agreeing with Tim. Because Tim was like, no, they just don't care. They just don't pay attention. Like, I'm not trying to say they're dumb.
And every time Tim would say so, we'd be like, yes, they don't care.
They just aren't aware. It's
it's always like the other guests are like making it more complicated than it actually is.
Like, in a fair kind of way, it's kind of sweet because like they're giving them too much credit.
But we know it's all for naught, because you shouldn't give them that much credit.
You think they're smarter than they are.
It's not that.
You think it's not, okay. I think to use smart and dumb is a little not accurate and a little unfair.
Okay.
It's not that they're dumb, and it's not that they're not smart, or it's not that the recently red pill think that they actually think they are smart. They're just misguided. That was what it felt like to me. It's that you fundamentally have different values.
Well, yeah, that's obvious. What do you mean?
Because of that, you can't even comprehend what they want in life. So they think, well, you just need Jesus. Well, if only you could see the light. If only you knew the truth. If only you knew all this stuff. It's like, no. What you want in life, which is to be a good person, which is to provide for your community, right. Which is to do something meaningful in your life, which is why you would become a political pundit and like to be so passionate about it. Clearly, you care a lot about these certain subjects. These people don't give two shits about that, and that's okay. Most people don't. They care about their community in a different way. They want to be seen as good people with the people around them, to have a certain amount of power and status in their immediate community. They want, that's probably one of the only things they want. And that's okay. Like because God forbid they are seen or know that they're voting for the other side. Yeah, that would be bad. That would be really bad for their community. They don't want to rock the boat. Right. They don't necessarily, I assume, don't want to do anything necessarily meaningful either, because it's too much effort and it rocks the boat too much. I feel like to them, meaning and purpose is derived from validation from other people, which is fine if Like that's the people that I'm thinking about, like in Hollywood, the people I've grown up with. Someone who doesn't have in a lot of ways, like an artistic purpose too. Like creative people tend to have a higher idea of purpose. But like when I think of any normal human being, people who are not creative, people who are not who don't have a passion, which sounds like a negative thing, but is just simply like a fact. Like most people don't have a passion, and that's fine. You're actually probably lucky. It's not fun to be like overly passionate about certain things, but like they value a completely different set of things than you, and because they can't seem to understand each other because of that. Sometimes when I talk to people who live a much simpler life than we do, I envy them, but I also don't, because I can't imagine living my life where the only thing that matters is what my neighbor thinks of me, what my friends think of me, but like that's normal human beings. Like I don't think you're normal if you have more than that. If you have more purpose and aspirations than that. And I think listening to them try their best to understand why someone would vote for a Democrat and not to just be default Dem and not understand, not even care and about evil or whatever the evil things Democrats are doing. It's funny that they can't understand the other side, and the other side can't understand them, and it's funny and it's tragic. But I think that's why we had a long conversation about this after that. Like, what will help either side win is if you court the millennials right now.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, I don't know how he did it, but DeSantis in Florida, just thinking about how that went down, you have to assume a lot of Democrats voted for DeSantis.
Yes.
That's the only way he won that hard,
yes.
You know? That's fucking Miami, dude. Yeah. Miami!
We have a lot of friends from Miami. Would never
very
vote.
Similar to LA people.
Yes.
Like the legit LA people.
Yes.
Very similar. A little bit more ratchet, I would say. That's the biggest question, because like you would assume that a lot of Democrats, and especially millennials, voted for DeSantis, which is like, how do you do that? I bet everybody from Carrie Lake to everybody, Trump's team, is like, how the fuck did that guy do that? Because if we figure out how to do that, we're gonna fucking win, but we just don't know how. But isn't that the great question of the election, because of how hard Florida won?
Yeah, no one's actually asking that question, but it would benefit them if they did think about it deeply. I think they would come up with the wrong conclusions. Like, for example, they think, well, DeSantis is like not woke, and he like leans into the culture war and like really fights for it and stuff.
Yeah, but on the surface,
yes,
that's what it looks like.
On the surface, you might chalk it up to that, but technically, a lot of Trump's candidates and a lot of MAGA candidates are like that as well. So why didn't they also win by a landslide if that's the case? Or for example, if that's the case, Carrie Lake should have won with
easily.
Because she's very good at leaning into the culture war stuff and having great owns and
great sound bites.
Yes, and I think for me, if I lived in Miami, and the reason why, if I did, I probably would have actually gone out and voted, and I would have voted for DeSantis, and regardless of what people think of me, I still consider myself a liberal, because a lot of my beliefs are like, the conservatives would hate me. Like, I am not. If anything, I'm just independent person at this point. But why I would vote for DeSantis is because he actually does what he says he is going to do, and it feels like he cares about me.
Right.
His people.
We were living in Los Angeles, and we were trying to just like, as soon as they were kind of like, okay, I guess you can like leave your house a little bit. We went straight to Texas and we just enjoyed life. It was like no lockdowns at all. And then we go back to LA and we're like, fuck our lives, you know, like, because it was still heavy with the lockdowns, and they were trying to push not lockdown passports. They were trying to pass vaccine passports. Yeah. And they were really trying to make that normal, and I was just like so annoyed with all of this, and our governor Newsom. And then like I would just hear news about like this fucking guy, DeSantis is his name, this governor in Florida, who with Texas was one of the first states to just fucking let people out and do the whole like enjoying life thing. And I just felt so envious of the Miami people that like you know, you get to go to do whatever you want, go to the beach, and you don't have to worry about passports just to see Tame Impala or something like or something like that. And I just got really annoyed, and like every single time DeSantis would do something cool, I would look at Newsom and I'd go like, fuck this guy.
Yes. Oh my god. So
I guess we'll a little bit after what you're going to talk about, we'll just share with people why we moved here.
Okay, yes. So, like, I think the reason, like, how the Republicans can solve their image problem with the millennials is you have to prove that you're going to help them and make their life better, and you have to actually do something. Because pretty words, we're used to that. Everyone just keeps telling us pretty words all our lives, and that never does anything. But for once, finally, like here's this guy that actually did something and helps his people out, and of course they love him there, you know, even in Miami of all places. Like our friends from Miami, like they're so liberal, they're so liberal. I had this one friend that like got really mad at me for not being more mad at when Trump won. Like, he actually, being from Florida, was telling me, someone who's like native to LA, was like, you know, I think LA is more racist than Florida because only Mexicans have the menial labor jobs here, whereas like over there, Latin Americans can be anything. I mean, doctors, lawyers, whatever. But like here, they only mow the lawn. They are only janitors. And I was like, yeah, point. Yeah. I guess.
I really don't know what it's like over there, but like if that's your observation about here, I'm not going to disagree.
And yeah, and as a native LA person, I was like, you're not wrong. We're like, that's what like really annoys me about people who are overly woke in LA or California. It's like, oh, we're so like good. I'm like, no, you didn't grow up here. We are realistic about how we're such a melting pot. The way we all get along with each other, the fact that we get along is great, but don't pretend like we all don't have racist tendencies sometimes, especially like people are of all races in LA can be a lot. They can be the things that I have heard from every single race in LA about every single other race in LA.
Woo! Super cancelable.
Yes. But people don't want you to know that about California.
It's so great. It's so tolerant.
Oh, yeah.
Don't believe
Janet. Yeah.
There are saints over there, man.
The Republicans' image problem is that people think they're evil, right? And the more you keep talking about taking away abortion and taking away people's reproductive rights, the more the Democrats are going to come out and vote against you, because clearly it worked.
Yeah, but like they really want that though,
because they're winning that fight. That's something that they're actually getting their way with.
But like, you know, that whole thing, like they're not going to budge on that. Like that's the thing. Like if you're saying that the image issue hinges on that topic especially, well then the Republicans are fucked forever then.
Yeah, probably. Either that or stop talking about it. Because you're making Democrat millennials scared, and they're scared Democrat millennials are going to vote against
you. So this is like definitive. You are as a Republican, it doesn't matter if you're as young as Will Witt to as old as Ted Cruz. You are just simply not going to convince the average millennial +2 Democrat that like leaving abortion to the states is like a good thing, basically.
No.
It's just impossible.
It's just not.
There's no way. You can't get Kanye to sing a song about it.
No,
You can't, no way in hell is that ever going to happen.
No. If you keep doing that, they will continue to call you evil fascists. I realized you don't even have to like shift over your beliefs. You can just stop talking about it and start addressing things that people actually care about. So I watched this finance video this morning, my daily finance video, and after the election, the Republican Party, I think, if I am remembering correctly, put out this like list of things, their goals, now that like they've taken the House, their goals of what they want to do for the people going forward. The top 3 were inflation related. Their goals is to reduce inflation and to help the economy get better. The next ones were to become energy independent, therefore lowering gas prices, meaning they don't want to like beg Saudi Arabia for oil. They don't want to beg Canada or Mexico for oil. They want to make the oil here so that it's cheap for Americans.
That's a Trump thing, right?
Yes. And then the third one was trying to reduce crime, meaning trying to do something about the border situation. And I thought, you know what, these sound like great points. Why isn't anyone talking about it? Instead, they're talking about quality candidates, and DeSantis and Trump are going to go at it. There's going to be some kind of like internal civil war between the two. Ooh, the drama.
Are we going to talk about that yet? Because that's exciting to talk about.
We can talk about that now.
Okay. This is the great dilemma that is before us. What has happened is a lot of people, this is the infighting in the Republican Party. A lot of people are really upset that a lot of the people Trump chose as the MAGA Republicans, as they say. A lot of them are losing or they're barely winning. So it's not kind of a good thing that Trump chose these people. And like, if you know anything about politics for the past 5 years, Trump choosing people often isn't, his choices of people that he aligns with, not the best. Not the best. He always gets into deep trouble for it, right? So now it seems as though there's a side of the Republicans or the conservatives who are like really upset and are really like, and Trump's running his mouth about like fraud again. And then like the Republicans are kind of fed up with this guy, and they're trying to do this whole branding shift of like Trump was the past, and they're looking at DeSantis's really big win, historic win. He really got Miami, huh?
Yes.
Like, this historic win, going like, that's our fucking guy. Now, in our conversations outside of this podcast, our personal, private Janet and Vincent conversations,
yes,
we are very impressed by DeSantis. We always were. Yes. His handling on the Disney stuff especially was very like rubbing our titties, like, oh man, look at him fucking up Disney. You know, it was very exciting to watch. Don't lie. You really liked it. You and I really liked it. And we were thinking about like, man, if only like DeSantis would become president, or could become president, or maybe even vice president with Donald Trump. That would be like ridiculous. That'd be like a ridiculous future. Yeah. But now there's this huge sort of question of like, can we convince people to vote for DeSantis instead of Trump? Trump's old news. He keeps complaining about election fraud, does nothing about it. His choices of candidates suck. Here's DeSantis, a clear winner, like a real winner, like truly someone who has won. And we want to align ourselves with that guy. When I first saw this hubbub, which was basically 11 o'clock election night, this narrative was being like just shuttled everywhere. I was like, I'm not sure if this is a psyop to like dissolve the MAGA Republicans,
right?
Because that's my immediate first thing. The way you like fuck up the momentum or whatever momentum you think the conservatives had, it's to question their leader,
Right.
which even here in Prescott, people love that guy, man.
Yes.
People fucking love that guy.
Yes.
And like I keep telling you, like the day our neighbors change their Trump 2020 sign to DeSantis 2024 sign, that will be when hell freezes over.
Yeah.
Because that is a thing I am like, it's just simple. Like, how do you persuade people to vote for DeSantis? That you have 2 years to shift public perception and convince our neighbors next door that DeSantis is their guy. That sounds like a really almost impossible thing for me to imagine at this point.
What I didn't really understand until I moved here is that MAGA people aren't necessarily conservatives. I think, especially coming from California, I think a lot of people think MAGA people are Republicans, but I don't think so.
I'd say they're like a funny version of a conservative, where like you don't have to rely that they're like the typical God-fearing conservative.
And they hate the gays, all this stuff.
Yeah, they're sort of like, they want, in a way, like want to see the people in power and the people who've been like fucking them all their lives. They want to see someone like Trump bully them for once.
Yeah.
That's their thing.
So like how I would describe the MAGA people here, at least, they're actually more like libertarians than anything. For example, like when we talk to our neighbors, I wonder if some of our like super liberal friends are worried that our neighbors are like super MAGA people. But like it's not like that. Like they are not like rah God, and like the stereotype of a conservative that a liberal has. They swear, like they swear. They are very middle of the road, actually, which is why like you'll oftentimes see a libertarian flag being flown all the time with an American flag, and they're giant on like the back of a pickup truck.
And then Trump 2024, 2020.
Or like whenever they're on that street corner waving their little flags, sometimes there's like a libertarian flag or something. Right. Those people are not necessarily down for the Republican Party.
Yeah.
They're down for Trump.
They're down for Trump.
They're like Trump diehards. It's hard for me. My opinion about the whole internal civil war is I'm annoyed by it because I think it's fake. I'm watching the Democrat leftists laugh at you and egg you on while
into
it's
this
happening.
Civil War,
yeah.
this internal civil war.
And I also think being someone from Hollywood and understanding how some people speak, Trump just negs people sometimes. And he doesn't mean anything. Like, he can't help it. And people say it's bad timing. Like, he doesn't care. Does it look like he cares about you or the party? No. Like, it's just, to me, a lot of that is like innocent negs and blown way out of proportion or taken out of context. But what I'm seeing, I saw this person tell this story on TikTok fairly recently, and I thought it was such a great parable. I think that's the word for it. She was talking about how there's this tale in her country where the moral of it basically is like, people will love you, the same people who love you will tear you down. So it goes like, in the jungle there's like the king of the jungle, and he's the lion, and then there's like the elephant, and then there's like all the other little critters and stuff. Everyone will be like, oh yes, you're the king of the jungle, Mr. Lion. And then they go to the elephant and they're like, you know what, you're great, you should be king. And then the elephant's like, I don't want to be king, I'm perfectly fine, it's fine. But then they keep gassing him up and being like, no, you should be king. You make a great king. And then they go to the king, they go to the lion, they go like, the elephant wants to be king, he doesn't think you should be king. And then the lion gets mad and and then they'll go back to the elephant, and at this point they've convinced him like, yeah, I should be king, I should be. And then like obviously they'll start to fight, and one of them will have to die, and it just shows you like who's the villain in that story. It's like the people just manipulating both sides, getting one side angry, getting the other side to fight just for their own sick form of entertainment. Yeah. And I feel like that's what's happening, and what I'm scared is going to happen, and what probably will happen. And I'm just like, I see this happening on the internet too, on a smaller scale. They'll prop someone like Charlie D'Amelio up just to like make her cry and give her problems, like probably trauma for the rest of her life. They'll prop like, I see Gen Z being the biggest culprit of this. They love being like bullying people, and the way they do it is they'll follow them, and the minute they do something out of line, they'll bully the hell out of them and cancel them off the internet. And I just find it really gross, because like it's no wonder Gen Z is so afraid of each other, because they're savage. But I don't like this, but I've always been a fan of DeSantis, because for selfish reasons, I don't like how crazy a lot of people have gotten because of Trump. They're very intelligent people that I respect and used to call friends, that probably don't like me anymore because I obviously don't care all that much. They have Trump derangement syndrome. And comedy and entertainment isn't good because of that. Like, all sorts of people I don't like seeing very intelligent, very talented people just go kind of insane simply because of a person. And I was always like, man, I don't know if DeSantis could win if he was the candidate for the Republicans, but if anything good came out of the Biden presidency is that people who should have never been into politics went back to sleep on it, and people could be friends again, and people can like
normies,
yes,
can just relax.
Yes, relax. Don't like cut off your family and friends simply for politics or whatever. That's silly and stupid, and that's sad. And we're even seeing like entertainment start to get better because of this. Like maybe Trump might not be so good for people and for society in general if he causes that much outrage.
Yeah. Oh God. Imagine the news and just how uptight, and then just the behavior of celebrities. It was just like, we need someone like. I told you right before the podcast, like, one of the things I love about DeSantis is he's like Jimmy Stewart. He's just an every dude.
Yes.
And like you get the EBGBs from Carrie Lake, but like DeSantis is just some guy, and that's what I really like about him. Like sometimes I would just wish, like, I wish just some guy would be president, because this is a lot better than some asshole who wants power and stuff. And it's pretty cool. Like, it's pretty cool to see somebody like that be a normal person and not be seduced by like the power element of it. Or maybe, I don't know, or maybe we're speaking prematurely and he will, I don't know. But as of right now, every time I would see news about that guy, I'd always be a little bit envious of like, oh damn, why doesn't my state have somebody like that guy?
Yeah. So I think the way the Republicans can fix their image problem, and it partly has to do with culture too. Culturally, you're just not cool, because people perceive you as racist assholes.
But I don't know. Is it required to be cool? It's not required.
It's not. Yeah, you just have to do something about our problems. Like, it's actually part of your job.
Remember when Ted Cruz tried to be cool? Remember when Ted Cruz went to the border with Fox?
Remember when Kamala tries to be cool?
Oh, God.
That's worse. Remember when Hillary went Pokemon Go to the polls?
Remember when Kamala went to the Breakfast Club?
And pretended
was like, I love Tupac.
Yeah.
I love Tupac
Yeah.
and smoking weed.
Yeah, and
Totally didn't
Snoop
put
Dogg.
people in a prison
Yeah.
for smoking weed.
Oh,
Totally
yeah.
didn't do that shit.
And use them for free labor,
Yeah,
basically
sure.
slave labor. Fantastic. I don't think you have to be cool. I think you just have, because the Democrats aren't cool either.
No.
It's not that. It's like you just have to not talk about abortion, and then you have to do something for us. Because we're like, no one ever does anything for us. But the minute you do, oh my God. People are going to love you just like they love DeSantis. So if that's what quality candidate means, meaning like they actually do what they say they're going to do, which like almost never happens for a politician, then I think that's the only way you can climb that uphill battle with millennials. Gen Z's a lost cause right now.
No, yeah.
They don't vote. It's
They
fine.
don't feel it yet.
No, they don't understand.
They don't
They
understand.
don't understand life yet.
Well, we didn't understand either.
No,
so
yeah. We are barely like waking up to voting.
Yeah.
We're finally at that age.
plus 28 to plus 2. The generation apart. Isn't that crazy? That's amazing.
Yeah, I would assume that's like the difference between like an 18-year-old and a 40-year-old.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So predictions now. What I was wondering.
Any final thoughts on the infighting in the Republican Party? What that's gonna look like? Anything? The DeSantis versus Trump thing. You said you'd rather them work together.
Yeah, rather than
because
work
it
together.
seems like a waste of time to fight.
Yeah. So like, kind of what you're saying. Man, what is it gonna take for our neighbors who are like super MAGA to be like for DeSantis and for them to turn against Trump? Because that's what you're asking them right
That's
now.
insane.
I don't know. That's like
Seems insane.
that's as insane as asking a Democrat to turn to a Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like not even DeSantis, like to turn to Trump. Like that's as insane to ask. And I don't know what so I know what's going to take to get a Democrat to vote Republican, and it's to actually do something for them. I don't know what it's going to take for these MAGA people to turn to Trump to DeSantis.
Turn against Trump and vote for DeSantis.
Yeah.
That's,
I don't know if it's possible.
I love to see it. I love to see the attempts, but ultimately, no way. Again, that'll be the day when I see DeSantis signs in place of the Trump signs here. Ridiculous.
Something that I was just thinking about why the Democrats kind of understand certain things about like leftists, and they will promise them things and they will kind of sort of follow through on it. For example, the student loan forgiveness thing. But I have a story for why we moved here.
Oh, why did
we have a story technically. So last year was when we made the decision to move here. I've always been thinking about it. But we made the decision and then start taking action around November of last year.
It was sort of hinging on a bet, actually.
Yes. So after we had gone to Texas and then we traveled around a bunch to different places like Phoenix, preparing to move. We were not serious about it yet. We were still
What would it be like?
Yes. So we actually had planned to maybe visit Nashville at one point, like Tennessee.
We're really into Colorado too.
Yes, and
New Mexico maybe.
We still are. I still want to visit a lot.
We still want to buy houses.
Yes. But we weren't serious yet. We went to Texas in July. We came back and the Gavin Newsom recalls were about to happen. It was shocking.
Are you telling the whole story?
Yes.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yes.
Here we go.
So we came back and the Gavin Newsom stuff, the recall was about to happen. I was already shocked that Californians actually got the recall to happen.
Yeah.
They had enough, what was it, votes or signatures or something?
So you got Gavin Newsom to stay or leave. You got Larry Elder to replace maybe, or you got Meet Kevin.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be that bad either. Better than Newsom, I'd say.
Some a bunch of when Newsom was about to be recalled, a lot of people were running. Lots of Democrats, lots of different Republicans. But for me, the biggest were like Larry Elder, a radio personality, who was conservative, black conservative. And then there was Meet Kevin,
YouTube
person, which would have been cool, have a YouTuber in office.
And then you had Newsom, who has ties with the Getty family and whose wife is a failed Hollywood person.
Yes.
So she went to the Hollywood for ugly people, which is politics.
Yes. Honestly, easier for her.
Yeah, probably better. Qual's like a lot more talent that she doesn't have.
Yes. So we were really frustrated at that point because by August, September, we were still locked down. And I was just losing my mind. I was like, 2 years ago, we were like on top of the world. We were about to do so much stuff. I was getting my health in order. I was going to the gym every single day. And now I've gotten fat again. It was like, all I want to do is eat my feelings. And because I can't do anything. All I can do is run around outside and people might like be weird about it. And be like, and I had to wear my mask outside. It was awful. So we were really frustrated. And we were like, okay, come on, California. You surprised me for once. You actually,
maybe we could do this.
Yeah, maybe
we could recall this guy.
At the time there seemed to be a lot of support for Larry Elder. He's a beloved radio host from what's his thing?
He's the sage from South.
Yes, a lot of LA people like him. I was like, cool. Let's make a bet. Because we're so frustrated at this point. The last straw is going to be this election. If he gets recalled, and it doesn't even matter who replaces him, we'll stay. Because California has proved us wrong. The people here have proved us wrong. That a lot of people feel the same way we do, and we have the ability to change things for ourselves. Yeah. That obviously didn't happen. One of the things that made me really mad right before that election was Hollywood got a huge handout from Gavin Newsom right before the election. We got an email. I think it was an Animation Guild email. Yeah. I don't think normal people know this.
And it was reported in the Hollywood Reporter after, remember?
What was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think only Hollywood people know this, or would have cared, you know? I don't think normal people knew this. And I just got really pissed off. I was like, so you're gonna just like lock everyone down, and you know who needs to vote for you in order for you to keep your office. You know that if you just bribed Hollywood and big tech, because he also gave a lot of money to big tech, you will win. And he did. And I was really disappointed in my fellow Californians.
But then we were also like, oh, this is how it is.
Yes.
You just like California just harvests the people from all around the world, puts them in these tech jobs, let's say, Hollywood jobs, and then like sort of makes them vote for someone like Newsom
by giving them money or bribing them.
Yeah, bribing them.
Whatever.
Or it's like, and then like you might think like, oh, you should just stand up for what you believe in. Like when you and your peers are being paid by this politician, what do you think is going to happen if you like say anything bad about him?
Yes.
It's not going to go good for you.
Yes. I just felt, I don't think defeated is the right word.
And we were just like, fuck this then.
Yeah. And it's similar to like, well, maybe, I guess they want this then.
Yeah.
Part of it is that, but part of it is also like, but what if they don't? They still voted because they got bribed. They were still like, these people would rather this guy than anyone else, for whatever reason, for their own selfish interests, because they work in Hollywood or big tech, or because this is exactly what they want and they think he's doing a good job. Either way, it made me feel really sad. I was like, so we are a state that just continues to hurt ourselves because we just can't seem to stop. It's some kind of like abusive relationship we all have.
Or we just have to
California.
put our hands up, though.
Yeah. So either we stay because this is our home and like this is all we knew. We grew up here, our family is here, our friends are here, everything is here. Or we're like, I think we've been to places that are like a lot better than this, and don't disappoint us like this. And that's why we left. That's officially the reason, the straw that broke the camel's back, because it was all piling up, and we were like, well,
when it happened, and almost like we didn't give it a second thought. We're like, all right then,
time to
get
make
the fuck
plans.
out of here. Yeah. And how has it been?
It's been great.
Yes, it has been.
So the Democrats understand that all they have to do is give you something, anything. Do something that seems like you care. What it seems like the Republicans do is like they say all these pretty words and then they never do anything.
Or they have all these righteous owns.
Yeah.
But it's not like they actually do anything.
Yeah, like I don't think most people care about culture war stuff. I think millennials, we grew up on that, and I think we're finally tired of it. I think Gen Z is hyper aware of how fake you all are. If you have been on TikTok for any length of time, Gen Z really can sense bullshit and fakery, and like I think the future of how people need to behave is you have to be authentic to a point where it makes inauthentic people really uncomfortable. People who are used to having mess, they're already bullying and calling out millennials for certain inauthentic behavior, like having curated Instagram profiles and stuff like that. They don't buy your bullshit. They don't buy any of the bullshit. I think that's partly why like no one is really cool to Gen Z, you know, in politics. I don't even really think they like AOC all that much.
What do you think? It's just girl? It's just that?
I think millennials like her.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Gen Z doesn't have anybody that represents them.
No, yeah.
Obviously, because it's like way too young still, kind of.
Yeah. I would not bank on being relatable, because clearly it works out so well for the Democrats when they try to be relatable. Like they land on their face every time. I don't know why they do it.
You're a politician. You are unrelatable.
Yes.
Don't try.
Yes. But what they do understand is giving you money and power. Like inviting a trans person to the White House is popular because you're giving someone power. The illusion of status. Gavin Newsom gave us money. They give you money so you vote for them. So
Reciprocity.
Yeah. Like, when do the Republicans ever do anything like that?
Well, I mean, it's not like you're encouraging Republicans to give people free money.
No,
right?
but like, when do they ever do anything like that? Like,
have like a real cause and effect.
yeah, for anybody but themselves. So, at the end of the day, if you're savvy enough, you can see that everyone is really just out for themselves. But persuasion-wise, Republicans are really, really, really bad at it. And like that's partly why I don't like conservatives like Ben Shapiro, because as an artist we know full well how important persuasion is, and why it's actually more true that feelings don't care about your facts if you want to win.
It's truly more true.
Yeah. That's why.
If you don't accept that, that's why you kind of lose all the time.
That's exactly why
you have to accept that people don't give a shit about facts.
No, yeah.
That you have to just open yourself to that. I know it sucks. I know it's like unbelievable, unreal. Oh, they're so stupid. But like, who's really more stupid?
Exactly. Why do you think smear campaigns work? Like, they could all be lies, telling lies about you. Doesn't matter. It's about how they were actually capable of making other people feel a certain way about you. And if they didn't actually do a good job of it, no one would believe them. So, like, that's unfortunately the ugly game of politics. If you didn't learn this from high school, something
it doesn't get much more sophisticated than student council bullshit that like, oh, free pizza.
Exactly. Like, it's so silly to me that like they this is why I think it's so hard for Republicans and conservatives to do anything to quote unquote change culture, because you don't actually care about culture. You don't actually care about art.
Really
you never
did.
Yeah. You do it because you know it's important and you want to win. But like, you don't actually care about artists. You don't actually care about us. You don't actually care about persuasion. You're not good at it. You just want to use us. And like, so like I love watching old art because old artists used to be very middle of the road. Like, you all suck. Because if you're a perceptive artist and you want to say something about the world and you're observant about the world, you start to realize that.
How have you not come to that conclusion?
Yeah, as a creative person who can notice like patterns everywhere, like everyone just kind of sucks. So my predictions for what is going to happen going forward. Now that we know that the Republicans won, but not by that much, what's going to happen? Well, first of all, what has already happened? What I thought was savage. Immediately the day after the election, all the tech people got laid off.
What do you mean all the tech people?
Almost every single tech company announced giant layoffs.
Wow.
So Facebook laid off like, I think 11,000 people.
11,000 people.
Zillow laid off a few hundred. Open Door laid off some people. Uber laid off some people. Like, a lot of Silicon Valley did the Elon Musk thing and laid
because they
off
were just staring at Elon
they're
Musk
just
going, what should we do? What should we do? We do that? Okay, we can do that.
Okay. No, the media isn't really talking about it all that much, but man, the savage jokes going around on TikTok. Everyone, so like, for the past year, for whatever reason, the day in the life of my tech job has been really popular. It has been kind of a trend. It was kind of made fun of on conservative Twitter, but like, it's been a thing. It's like, what I can chalk it up to is, one, it's novel for females to be in some kind of tech STEM job. Two, young Gen Z romanticizes the idea of making an enormous 6-figure income while also being young. And three, it's kind of become the new influencer thing. Like, it became really cool to be kind of like an influencer as a millennial, like a Casey Neistat, where like, you are simply just an influencer and you get to go on these crazy trips and all that stuff. For whatever reason, because Gen Z likes you to be more relatable, they like it when their influencers have day jobs. So the more prestigious the day job, the more they like it. But it's not just any prestigious day job.
I've seen this. It's sort of like the animation stuff.
Kind
it's
of.
Sort of like when people are at DreamWorks or Disney going, oh, look at this great feast or wrap party.
Exactly.
Right.
Except it's so specific to tech for some reason. It like,
I'm sure not that different though.
No.
Oh, free lunches.
Like, you would assume it applies to like any kind of prestigious job, for example, like Hollywood, like animation, but it doesn't cross over. Like Gen Z does not care if you work in animation, but they love it if you like show off your life at Facebook or something. I don't know. And there was even a whole like fiasco that happened where like people, tech girlies as they call it, started fighting with each other because some of them were not actually tech girlies. They were actually like in the marketing department. And so like they were like the
trying to get the credit for getting that prestigious tech job.
Yeah.
You have to really fight for.
Yeah. So like the programmers were like, so and so isn't actually in tech. They're like in the marketing department or the copywriting department. And
that's like saying, oh yeah, I had a part to play in this animation.
Yeah.
And you're a PA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And being a bystander to all of that, I was like, this is so dumb. Who cares? This is dumb. But yes, so the narrative has kind of shifted on TikTok, where now everyone's making fun of tech people, being like, oh, the tech girlie's getting laid off, and like, ooh, like, so much for those day in the life videos where you're showing off your life.
Yeah, it's sort of kind of, oh man, it's like, this is what happens if you're gonna flaunt your life and how amazing where you work is at, and then it's all in the news that a bunch of people at your corporation got laid off, and now you have egg on your face because you're like, oh, I don't get to have my 2 o'clock naps in the nap room with the bean bags.
Right. So like I said in the last podcast, immediately after the election, the economy is going to get bad. You all are going to lose your jobs. I literally did not expect the day after.
I thought they'd wait for next year. Have some class. Let people have their holidays with their family before you ruin their life. But they're like, fuck you.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
savage.
Election done, bye-bye.
See ya.
So
why are they doing this? I think we mentioned before, right, that like this has to do with the Fed pulling their arm a little bit to hurt the economy. The Fed's plan to hurt the economy to save the economy.
Yes. In order to bring inflation down, they want you to lose your jobs.
And why does this help the economy? How?
If no one has money to buy anything, then demand will go down and the prices of things
cruel because no one has money to buy anything. Because they don't have a job.
Yes, I know. Because their life
That's so cruel.
I know.
But this is the great plan to save us from the inflation.
Yes.
All right, cool. This is like Armageddon. What are we going to do to destroy the comet? Put a nuke inside the comet, man.
Yes. So today, actually, we got semi-good news that inflation is starting to like really make improvements. But the problem is typically the changes that the government has made, you don't truly see the effects of it until way down the line. So people are like, if it's already getting deflationary, I guess, now, then it's going to get really, really, really bad around this time next year. So I'm like, oh, great, fantastic. So you mean a year from now, it's going to be really bad. Thanks.
So our parents got to live through the housing crisis, which is like, I don't know.
Boom and bust.
Right, bust too. Where it's like, I don't know, it's neither here nor there if it's comparable, but like, it's sort of like the millennials' turn to feel economic strain. And like next year might be when everyone's really going to feel it, because as you said, these people lost their jobs. What is it, 11,000 at Facebook?
Yeah.
What are those 11,000 people going to do for the next couple of years? Because every tech, like, that's all they know how to do, right? Tech, unless they make their own. But what, you're going to compete with your employers? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
There's this TikTok I saw this morning that was really kind of sad. There's this girl who like became a lawyer, recently got fired, and hasn't been able to find work for like the past like year, basically. So she's moved back in with her parents, and she is anxious because I think she's 30, or at least around that age. She was like, as a 30-year-old person, I don't want to be relying on my parents anymore. I am in like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt in order to become a lawyer. And hopefully things will start to turn around. And I was like, oh my God, I feel really bad for you. Even in a job as you'd think as stable as like becoming a lawyer. She is in a really bad place. And then like, it seems like, I don't know, it's social media. Who knows what's true, but it seems like she's Asian. So her parents were like just trying to be supportive and trying to like allow her to like live with them as she's trying to figure it out, because clearly she's still
trying to figure it
out, and it's not her fault. But like, that sucks. It sucks that a lot of millennials are probably gonna lose their jobs, lose their careers. It's gonna be a really bad time. A lot of people are probably gonna go homeless. A lot of people are gonna move back home. It is what it is. And unfortunately, my next prediction has to do with that. I think no one is gonna do anything about it. So my thing of like, my advice, I guess, that like, all you have to do is do your fucking job, politicians, and like do stuff for us. Not gonna happen, because when does it ever happen? My standards are on the floor. It is below the floor. I hate you all. It's not gonna happen. So like, nothing, it's just gonna be sad and depressing for the next 2 years. And as a result, everyone is going to point fingers at each other.
The next 2 years are about pain and pointing fingers, but it's not like pointing fingers is going to help anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's going to be a lot of news about it's this person's fault why you're suffering.
Because it's already happening. The idea of like blame Trump for everything on both sides. You know, everyone's blaming him for everything. MAGA doesn't work. Oh, DeSantis now. And people are talking about quality of candidates rather than how are you going to help fix inflation? How about you talk about that? If these are the points on your website, why isn't anyone talking about this? Like, I never like, the past maybe week or two, I've been following politics again, and I'm just like, yeah, I didn't miss much. I come back just to be disappointed again, and I dislike all of this.
The Democrats voted for somebody barely alive. Oh, color me surprised.
Yeah. And then I outside of pointing fingers at each other, the point of that is to hype up the next season. That is the reality TV show of America, where we, the audience, have stakes in the game.
We're at the point of the year where it's like that episode of your favorite anime, and the last 30 seconds are sort of previewing for the next episode.
Yes.
That's where we're at right now.
Yes. So they, meaning politicians and pundits and commentators, are going to drum up drama, all the wrong types of drama. They're not going to talk about inflation. They're not going to talk about how they are actually doing things. Because now that you're in office, I don't expect you to do anything about like the entire country. You don't have that kind of power. I expect maybe certain states to try to do the things that they say they're gonna do. You know, now that you've like elected some of your people, how about you do some of those things and become like your own baby DeSantis? How about that? And then I will believe you. But then like, until then, you're just drumming up drama just so you can get views and money. So
you'd wish every state has a little baby DeSantis?
That seems like maybe what politics and politicians are supposed to do. So what did I learn from all of this? I learned that my decision to step away from watching the news was right. I should never have come back to looking at the news, honestly. And
you already know what the story is going to be.
Yes, I already know what the story is going to be. I'll check in again next election yeah. and see how wrong or right I was. I hope to be proven wrong, because that would be the betterment. That would be for the betterment of humanity and society. But I don't think I'm wrong. I'm not usually wrong about the nature of human beings. It's my pastime.
Jan is always on TikTok. I can't stand TikTok anymore. I actually enjoy Instagram Reels. I can't stand it. But you're always trying to learn about the human condition.
I am trying to understand the human race.
As an alien.
Yes. So, lastly, Black Panther's coming out.
This is completely out of, not part of politics, but we are curious about where Marvel stands in culture. And the Black Panther movie without Black Panther movie is coming out. So I'm really curious about people's desire to watch the Black Panther movie without Black Panther in it. I heard it's really moving, and it's a lot of like really emotional stuff. Will it beat Top Gun? No. I don't think they have a fucking prayer. No. Will it beat Doctor Strange?
No, I don't think so.
Don't think so.
I don't think so.
Doctor Strange was a summer movie.
And
people had nothing to do.
At least Doctor Strange had Doctor Strange in it.
Yeah, at least Doctor Strange had Doctor Strange. Also, Thor had Thor.
Yeah.
The Black Panther, not Black Panther movie doesn't have Black Panther in it. So I'm really curious to see what the weekend box office results are going to be like. I'm expecting a hefty sum at the end of the box office opening weekend, but I am expecting a huge drop off the second weekend. I don't see that movie having word of mouth to save it.
I'm expecting it to do fairly well. So the expectations, don't gaslight me.
Don't gaslight me.
The expectations that I read and heard was that it's projected to make like 200 million. Around.
When was the last time it made 200 million? It was like they popped more than 200 million with Spider-Man. But that was Sony.
Yeah.
So
I don't like how people think that's a Disney movie.
It's not a Disney.
It's a Sony movie. Sony gets credit for that.
Disney got a little bit of a cut, but like Columbia got that Tom Holland money. Also, Tom Holland, I think, signed for a few more movies. He's going to look like Andrew Garfield at the end of Into the Spider-Verse when he's done with his. They're probably going to kill him off, and do the Miles Morales story after Spider-Man 5.
Good for him, but also sad
for him, because that's a lot of his life as Peter Parker.
That's a lot of chicken breasts and broccoli.
Climbing.
But he was like, pay me, bitch.
A lot of water to drink.
So I don't have high hopes for it, but I do. So my prediction is I think Black Panther is going to make around 150 million. I think 50 million less than projected, but a pretty big take because first, nothing is playing right now.
Yeah.
They're doing the thing again. We're like, they're so scared of a Marvel movie that there's no movie that plays on the same weekend to compete for views.
They're especially afraid of this movie.
Yes. There's like hours and hours and hours and so many rooms booked for Black Panther at our local theater.
There was, I think, 12 to 15 standard showings and 4 3D showings here in this small town.
This is annoying.
I don't know if that many people here are going to go out and watch Black Panther.
I don't know if that many people live here.
Yeah. Yeah. Just mathematically.
Yeah. So, also, like, I don't think people want to see a Black Pain movie. Which is why I think Till didn't do well. I don't think anyone likes to go and watch. I don't want to watch any kind of pain movie.
That's an assumption. You don't know. Black Panther is going to be a Black Pain movie.
I'm actually saying the opposite. I'm saying the reason why I think it'll do fairly well is because it's not a Black Pain movie.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's just like an awesome movie.
Yeah, it's just a fun.
It's Ryan Coogler.
Yeah,
like he's there is nothing he can do that he does wrong. He's a very good director. It's very hard for him to make a bad movie. I believe it. It's just I'm curious about okay, that's like, they had a huge uphill battle just to CG Carrie Fisher into the last Star Wars Disney movie, and that was a problem for them. And now you have literally the superhero not in your movie, but then instead of recasting, which to me is just why didn't you recast? It's just I thought Black Panther out of everyone, T'Challa out of everyone could have probably carried the Marvel people after Tony. Mm-hmm. It was always complicated with Tom Holland and Spider-Man because it wasn't ever really Disney's. Mm-hmm. But out of their whole roster, I thought Black Panther was the best, and I could see a lot of people playing Black Panther. Yes. A lot of really talented people playing Black Panther, and I was like, oh, you're gonna make it Shuri? Is that even in the comics? Does that happen?
I think that's in the comics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
But
and then I was like, but then it's usually when you pass the torch. It's like the Tom Holland thing. When you pass the torch to a younger generation,
yes,
there you have that moment. But all of a sudden, unless they CG Chadwick Boseman somehow saying, Shuri, you're going to be basically, oh fuck, I could imagine them doing the whole Mufasa thing, but instead of T'Challa's dad in the sky, in the dream acid trip world, it's fucking Chadwick Boseman and Shuri going like, you are now Black Panther. I can imagine it being all very emotional. Not saying that this is going to happen. It's just like, I'm just like, how do you make a Superman movie without Superman?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the reason why I think it'll probably make about that much on opening night is because truly that's the only thing playing. It has some hype, but not a lot actually, which is why I don't actually think it'll make like 200. Also, like, again, with our prediction or just an observation last episode that like the movies that do the best this
are the
year,
ones that deliver
what it
the
advertises. Yeah. And you're advertising that this is a Black Panther movie with no Black Panther, and that's just like Halloween with like barely any Michael Myers
with Corey.
Yeah,
it's like you're going to try to convince, like if you know anything about the recent Halloween movie, what they're trying to do with Shuri is like what they tried to do with Michael and Corey.
Exactly.
And we didn't like that movie because like we wanted Michael being Michael, and that's what I'm trying to say with Black Panther. It's such a missed opportunity that the second Black Panther movie, like there was so much more things I wanted to know, and this feels like the fourth movie. This feels like when Peter Parker dies. Right. This feels like this should be way, way, way in the future. Like, I don't know why they're doing this now, but I guess it's because I really don't know why they're doing this now. I really think they would have made more money if they recasted. But sure, Disney, do whatever you want, I guess.
Yeah, I guess BlackRock.
I guess BlackRock.
So, what I think this prediction, if both our predictions kind of sort of come true, either one, it just kind of means that, man, Disney's slowly starting to wane in popularity and your ability to hype people up to go watch your movies.
Yeah, I feel like me predicting 120 million is a little dickish. I can imagine them truly, like, they must make more than 150 million. They must.
I think
you must.
The first Black Panther made, I think, anywhere between 120 and 150.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
It could make less than 120 million.
Yeah, it could, but that would be like a major flop that probably won't happen because it's like dominating the theaters.
Because it's the only thing to watch.
The entire month.
Right, okay. Well, let's see what happens today, and you could call us crazy in the comments below. What are we recommending, Jan?
We are recommending you watch All the President's Men. My takeaway from that movie is that nothing has changed, and it probably has always been that way. So, also, it's really fascinating to watch that movie because it seems like David Fincher is very inspired by that.
That's his entire style. Film language.
Yes.
You know,
way of telling a story and shot language and everything. I used to think Fincher was all about like Hitchcock in terms of his influences, but like it's a lot of this movie as well. It's probably just a mix of those two influences for the most part.
Takeaway is that I think Dustin Hoffman was the best actor of the 70s.
Yes.
He is just simply, from Kramer versus Kramer, Marathon Man, to this movie, to, it's technically an 80s movie, but what is it? Where he cross-dresses? Tootsie. Oh my God, Tootsie's so good.
It's really
Oh
good.
my goodness. It's like a mature Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
So good. And like what I love and adore about Dustin Hoffman's acting is just like, he just disappears into his role. When you watch All the President's Men, you see what's his name from
Robert Redford.
It's Robert Redford.
Yes.
It's sort of like when you see Brad Pitt.
Yes.
You can't unsee it's Brad Pitt.
Yes.
But like every time, and like it doesn't matter if it's Running Man or if it's Kramer versus Kramer. Like Dustin Hoffman becomes that man. He becomes like the news reporter. He becomes like the deadbeat dad.
Yeah, he becomes,
and very convincingly too.
Yeah.
So I am always like just constantly impressed by his acting because it's not like showy.
Yes.
It's not look at me, I'm trying to win an Oscar. It's very like almost a good drummer. It's always his acting always serves the story, very, like or whatever the scene calls for very well. It's just So good. So
I
good.
miss
He's just
seeing
so good.
him in movies.
I know.
He just disappears. I don't know
of any actor who
can do that
I
now.
don't know.
A lot of people try, but they like people like Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman really are just like chameleons. Just amazing to watch.
Amazing.
Yeah. Very good movie.
Very good movie.
Kind of for people who are into old people dry stuff, but it's fun.
Once you get into like the drama of it all, it's really fun. I think when Redford and Dustin Hoffman finally work together, which is like 25 minutes in, that's when the story really gets like fun to watch.
Yeah. Dustin Hoffman is like the best actor in the movie, and he has some like really, really great scenes that's very reminiscent of House of Cards.
Yeah.
But Robert Redford is fun to watch in his own like Brad Pitt-esque kind of way.
Being just full of swagger.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm Robert Redford, but like you're Dustin Hoffman. He's the straight man in the movie. He's trying to like really be serious, and like Rob Redford's just like, I'm hot, so I'm able to get all the insider stories and shit, man. Who hooked up with Deep Throat? Oh no, it's Dustin Hoffman's contact with Deep Throat. Oh, okay.
But Robert Redford is the one that knows how to like schmooze a little bit better. Just like our relationship. I am the aggressive one, and you are the one that just wins everyone
Smiles. Hello.
Oh, if you like this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, jingle all our bells and buttons. Check out these episodes here to binge all our other episodes, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.